current affairs, facts and opinion, their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks, to 2026 here at the Australian National Review and .news. You can follow our 24-hour news headlines. McIntyre Report, Venezuela is hitting the headlines. Big bang to the start of 2026. We expected 2026 to be a wild ride. It hasn't disappointed so far. Trump has decided that he can just remove a president of a foreign nation at will, and they've invaded and bombed Venezuela, which they said they were going to do for some time, and they've kidnapped the president and have trumped up some charges such as drug trafficking. They're going to charge him with and possession of firearms. Really, America, does it possess firearms, machine guns? And we know the CIA in America is behind some of the biggest drug trades in the world, and Venezuela is actually not really involved majorly in the drug trade, so we know that's nothing to do with what the reality is. But we do know one thing about Venezuela, and many people are finding this out as well. Let's hear from a comedian what he thinks of this.
Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves. If the whole world was LA, Venezuela is Diddy's house. Largest proven oil reserves. But it's not even about oil, it's about drugs. Oil happens to be there. Oh my God, what a coincidence. They're like, we're just here for the drugs, man. Oh, you got oil? Oh, shit, what's up? That's good, man. They claim Venezuela is sending cocaine. First of all, not true, okay? It's Mexico. Okay, sorry. Secondly, they're claiming that the problem is people are ODing on the cocaine because it's laced with fentanyl. Fine, go after the fentanyl. They're saying, well, the fentanyl's coming from Venezuela. No, it's not. It's also coming from Mexico. Sorry, I'm not trying to pick on Mexico. Just going with what I read. The chemicals that make fentanyl come from China. Some also from India. Shout out, okay? And then it's cooked in Mexico, which just sounds like a racist American joke. We get the parts from China on the cheap. India comes through with the tech support. And then the real work is done by Mexicans in the kitchen. I'm not making that joke. This is how fentanyl is made, okay? And then we're the dumb Americans who are like, yum, fenty, yummy, yummy, yummy. They're trying to use words to intimidate us. They're saying they're narco-terrorists, which as a Middle Eastern person, I find that offensive. That's what you used to call us. You can't just give away our slur. If they're narco-terrorists, am I just an original terrorist? Like what? Am I a standard terrorist 1.0 in OT? Narco-terrorists. You can just put a word in front of terrorists because it's a different race of people. Are Asians math terrorists? That's not cool. And of course, white people, domestic terrorists, right? They're just acting like they can just go to a country and just take it over. This is the problem with calling the United States America. We see other places in the world that also have America in the title, and we're like, oh, that's ours, I think. Oh, that's just South America, right? That's us. All we have to do is cross the Gulf of America to get to the south part of America. The United States really is the Diddy of the world. We like to control everybody. Sure, we help some countries, but we also molest them. Some countries we hate so much that we have them taken out, pretend like we didn't do it. We're addicted to oil. And our biggest enemy, inflation, which right now is 50 cents. I know 50 cents is not a lot. Let's just say it's regime change.
Well, that's one interesting perspective. You're going to hear many perspectives. So I think it's important that we don't get caught up in both the left and right division that we have in the West of what you should think about this, and we should get more facts. But obviously, the facts are very clearly worldwide proven crude oil reserves. Venezuela is certainly up there. Well, up there. It's number one. There's no doubting that. Has Israel just organized for, they care for America so much to give America a drink of oil? So the memes are coming out fast and thick. Very interesting, isn't it? So let's have a look at some more footage on this to make out what's really going on. But I think we can quickly assess that Israel is behind it. Maybe it's behind it because they don't like Maduro, maybe for this reason.
Esos judíos de las 12 tribus, que no son los que mandan hoy en el Estado de Israel. Los que hoy gobiernan Netanyahu no es judío auténtico. Él es un cambalache que viene por allá de Polonia. Para los que les gusta hablar de religiones y dicen que esto es un conflicto religioso. No, esto no es un conflicto religioso. El conflicto que hay desde la fundación del Estado de Israel es un conflicto geopolítico. Porque ese Estado lo crearon para conquistar todo el Medio Oriente y Asia Central y quitarle las riquezas y colonizar esos pueblos. es el proyecto sionista, que dicen que van desde el río Jordán hasta el Éufrates y más allá.
So many don't understand and don't realize Israel is behind this. And the right faction Israel, that would be Netanyahu. But we'll come to a little bit more of that later. But let's just cover this first of all. Who do they want to install as the puppet future president? The opposition leader is a Zionist.
I would like to thank Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
I promise we one day will have a close relationship between Venezuela and Israel.
I myself look forward to visit the State of Israel as soon as we conquer freedom. We will prevail.
And I can announce this, that our government will move our Israeli embassy to Jerusalem.
Well, there you have it. They want a puppet president in charge, Israel, a Jewish Zionist. And you got to understand, Trump is not America first. He was elected on Make America Great Again, but we know MAGA is dead. You know, there's still some that believe in Trump no matter what, but Trump is controlled by Israel. Anyone that doesn't know, Israel's controlled U.S. foreign policy even since before they Charlie Kirk JFK. And after JFK, you know, signed executive presidential order to remove the power of the Fed to print its own money, he was assassinated within 5 months later. He also wanted them AIPAC, or what was AIPAC back then, to register as a foreign agent, and he also wanted them not to have access to nuclear weapons for very good reason, because they're the one nation on the planet that has the Samson option. You probably shouldn't trust with weapons, and who is behind pretty much every war. I predict here on Australian National View, we predict that Nigeria will be next. Of course, Iran. Now, this is gearing up for Iran, but Nigeria. They will tell dumbed-down Westerners that they must military intervene to protect Christians because Christians are being slaughtered. What they don't tell you is who is sending the weapons to their proxy armies, their terrorists that they create, such as ISIS, you know, Al-Qaeda they used to use in the past, warlords where suitable, to divide the country, to fund genocide, destabilize the government, to steal its resources, and then regime change and put their puppet in place, just like they're planning to do with Venezuela. A Zionist and Jewish puppet that will bow before Lord Rothschilds or Lord Netanyahu. So a lot of people don't understand the connection. The West is run by Israel. America is a colony of Israel. It's not the other way around. So let's learn a little bit more about this, shall we?
The American government just attacked Venezuela, kidnapped their leader and his wife. And here are all the details that you will not hear on mainstream media, because Israel controls our media and Israel's involved in this as well. So here's what really happened. So the American government did military airstrikes to pave their way for their special operations to go in there and kidnap Maduro and his wife. Maduro was immediately flown to America, where he will be given a fake trial under false charges. This is to give the illusion of legitimacy to the illegal overthrow of a foreign country. A straight-out assassination would have looked too much like a naked power grab overthrow of a foreign government, which is exactly what this is, just with a thin disguise of a sham trial. Venezuela will now be given a fake democracy with the illusion of choice to pacify the masses, while all their new choices for leadership will be intentionally limited to a bunch of puppets for a foreign government. The next elected leader of Venezuela is already prearranged to be Maria Machado. In 2020, she already signed a political alliance with Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party. Venezuela will now be part of ZOG. Now, why is Venezuela an asset to America and Israel? Multiple reasons. Venezuela was part of the opposition alliance with Russia, China, and Iran, and it has one of the top oil reserves in the world. So now that Venezuela becomes part of ZOG, it weakens the opposition alliance and strengthens ZOG. And Maria already announced that she will privatize oil production in Venezuela. Privatizing oil production is just a disguised way to sell off Venezuela's oil production dirt cheap to Israeli-controlled businesses like Chevron and Exxon, which is controlled by Larry Fink and BlackRock. It's the illusion of a free market while everything is controlled and goes to the profit of Israel. This illegal overthrow of the Venezuela government comes after America's boss, Benjamin Netanyahu, came to America for several days to give orders. America attacked Venezuela the same night that Netanyahu left from his visit. Netanyahu doesn't influence America, he controls America. This is situation escalation. Free Nicolas Maduro and stop ZOG. We have to step up our game.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Too many people are just like naturally confused, but you have to understand, when you understand that Israel controls the West And they're not happy with just the West. They want to expand that to the entire world and control the world and have a one world government. Now, that's the right faction. Netanyahu wants that, run out of Jerusalem. Then you got the left faction, Zionists, what we refer to as the globalist puppets, also want a one world government. The only alliance that I suggested, I've suggested many times in the Australian National Review, I'm a nationalist. I support people that would make Australia first, or in America, Americans that would make America first. Like Russia, a lot of people majority support Putin because he's a nationalist leader. In China, whether you like China or not, or you don't like their so-called communism, even though it's very much about private ownership, they have a nationalist leader. Iran has a nationalist leader. Not perfect, but look in Europe, Western Europe, all globalist puppets. Look in Australia, a globalist left-wing puppet trying to be replaced by a right faction Zionist puppet. Or the third choice is put in a nationalist leader that will support the BRICS. So how will this affect the BRICS? Well, Venezuela is becoming part of the BRICS. And will China and Russia sit by idly and allow this theft to occur? I doubt it. I think, obviously Russia's preoccupied with fighting Ukraine, which is another Zionist takeover state, which Russia's defending against, or eradicating them out of eastern Ukraine, which is Russian ethnics, to protect them. But that's a war that was also started by the deep state, Israel, the CIA, which is controlled by Mossad, which is Israel. And so obviously then they want to stir up tensions with Taiwan. They keep blaming, China wants to invade Taiwan. Taiwan is, whether you like it or not, is part of China, and it's their business. So why are we arming Taiwan? Israel control America, arming Taiwan for one reason, to provoke China into war, because that's what Israel's good at. The banker wankers that founded Israel and the Federal Reserve profit from war, use war to divide, to conquer, and to steal assets and genocide. I mean, it's a well-played playbook, and they continue to do that. So you need to be aware of that. Otherwise, you're going to be divided once again into left. You're left-wing globalists, you support socialism. Then you obviously, or your right faction, you support Trump. It's like, if you haven't got it by now, Trump is a Zionist. Trump is controlled by Netanyahu. Netanyahu and Israel are behind telling Trump what to do and to steal Venezuelan oil and to steal the nation, and then put in a puppet leader as soon as they can. So a quick ad break. We'll be back with some more.
$78,000 I'll get you in Bali. Introducing Resort K and Vios by LUX. Studios from $79,000 AUD. Hotel style amenities. Live, work, unwind. Unique design villas, live in or rent out. Prime Seminyak location. Steps to dining, buffets and beach clubs. Projected net annual returns 12 to 18% PA. Thinking of moving to Bali? Own your place in Seminyak. Own at Resort K and Vios by Lux Seminyak.
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report here. Jamie McIntyre reporting live for Australian National Review. Actually reporting live out of Australia at the moment. We're normally in our Indonesian studios, but during the holiday break, we still bring the news to you with our political commentators from around the world. We have, in America, Lily Gaddis report done weekly. Also, David Curtin in the UK correspondent. And of course, Jason Alborn is the other Australian political commentator and correspondent. We're looking forward to expanding the Australian National Review network into a global TV network throughout the world to bring you more independent news, because in the times like this, people get confused. They want to have an independent assessment of what's really going on in Venezuela. Well, who's really behind that? If you listen to the Australian rags on the right, you have Murdoch Papers, the Australian newspaper. I just read that this morning, and they're very excited about Venezuela being taken, and supporting the snatching of a president, not highlighting to readers, by the way, this is illegal against international law and you're basically stealing. They don't highlight that, but the left faction is opposing that. But the real faction you should be supporting, I think, as I said, is the BRIC nations. Let's hear a little bit from Tucker Carlson.
Ben Shapiro was just sitting there being interviewed by Megyn Kelly and said something. He said something like, well, Tucker Carlson's, for Maduro, the communist leader of Venezuela, who I guess were on the way to killing or something, forcing out, regime changing him. And he defended Maduro. Didn't, actually. And Megyn Kelly says, well, Tucker said in his show that Maduro, most people didn't know this, whatever his many faults, I wouldn't hire him as an economist, okay? But whatever his many faults, has the most socially conservative country probably in the hemisphere. So Venezuela is just a fact. I mean, I didn't make this up. I'm not in charge of Venezuela. Just noticing that Venezuela has banned pornography, banned abortion, banned gay marriage, banned sex changes, and banned usury. You don't have credit cards with 40% interest in Venezuela. Okay. Ben Shapiro responded this way.
Tucker's made the point, I'm not going to here to be Tucker's defender, but he's made the point that Maduro is culturally conservative.
Who gives a shit? The guy's a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating dog. He's shipping fentanyl to the United States to kill Americans. Why do I give a shit whether he's anti-LGBTQ rights?
Who gives a shit? I do. I'm not moving to Venezuela. Not pro-Maduro. But I care about that. Why wouldn't I care about that? I've got kids. First of all, I'm against abortion. Sorry, unpopular. I feel that way. I think it's really sad. I would personally become poorer to end abortion, voluntarily become poorer to end abortion in the United States. That's not a choice. Don't want to become poor, but I would because I care about it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're offended that I do, but I care about it. Lots of people care about it. I don't think pornography is good. That really hurts people. I don't think pretending that the sexes are the same is good. And you claimed that you didn't think it was good, but it turns out, quote, I don't give a shit. Maduro's against Israel. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fair. It's true. It's interesting to come out. It's not about supporting Maduro. I mean, he has a lot of support, and a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people celebrating in Venezuela, and of course, that's being helped go viral by Israel. But how do these celebrations turn out when people were super excited after Israel overthrew Iraq? That excitement soon died down to a reality. If people think oil companies in America give one iota, one damn, and going to share their wealth with Venezuelans, then you're dreaming, you're deluded. If you think Israel gives a fuck about anyone else other than itself, it doesn't even give a shit about itself. It will kill Jewish people to achieve their political objectives. Do you not see October 7th? How many 1,100 Israelis slaughtered that day turned out to be slaughtered by the IDF? Beside the majority of them. If that offends you, that simple fact, then go and do your research and you'll find out that I'm right. What about the Bondi Beach massacre? How long is it going to take for the average Aussie to figure out the same people that did the Port Arthur massacre also did the Bondi Beach massacre? Coordinated by the same group of people. And also the Bali bombing, September 11th, October 7th. These are known as false flags to achieve political objectives. Whose political objectives? I just wonder which fake state controlled by banker wankers that print fake money, and not even Jewish, but fake Jews that own your fake news media and your fake politicians push fake pandemics and fake vaccines and control fake people through fake narratives, just like they'll push about this. It's in America's interest to invade Venezuela and kidnap the president. Okay, wouldn't it be in the world's interest for someone to invade Israel and kidnap Netanyahu? Wouldn't that be better off for the world? Like, if we're going to have regime change, let's instead of let the whole world be regime change for one more government to suit Israel's political objectives, how about we just regime change Israel? Or how about we just relocate Israel out of Muslim nations and stop causing all the fuckery in the world? Wouldn't that be a good thing? Don't you think?
A lot of people say Israel is America's friend, and I want to challenge that. Now, as an American citizen, I don't think Israel is a good friend. Can you call a country a friend if they have a spy, Jonathan Pollard, who spied on America? He was an American. He was not Israeli. He took a life sentence in 1987. And just to spite the United States in 1995, Israel gave him the Israeli citizenship while he was in jail. That's a spite. And then he was released 2020 on a private jet sponsored by an American billionaire, Sheldon Adelson, and he was greeted at the airport by Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, what about the Herzog affair, 1950-1954? Where Chaim Herzog was an attaché in Israeli embassy, and he was recruiting spies with American soul, and he was tipped off that the FBI is coming to him. He escaped, and how he was rewarded? 2 times Israeli president in 1993, and he's the father of the current president today.
We're dealing with ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Hamas. This is what we're dealing with.
The Apollo affair. Rafi Eitan, an Israeli spy, stole 206 enriched uranium from Numac. How can you call a country that committed terrorist attack, killing an American citizen in American soil, and then they fled to Israel? The JDL, 1985, Alex Oda, he was Christian, Palestinian American, and he was assassinated by 3 members of the JDL. And they escaped to Israel, and America had not get them back because Israel does not want to deliver. How can you call someone who commit an attempted assassination on an American diplomat, John Gunther Dean, our ambassador in Lebanon, and he wrote it in his memoir. American did not investigate it. What is the most lethal attack on American naval vessel in history in the Middle East?
USS Cole.
How many people died?
I don't remember, but a lot. I went and covered
17. How many people injured? 37. But that's not the most lethal. The most lethal attack on American naval vessel was USS Liberty, 9th of June, 1967. They were attacked by the Israeli army, and they killed 34 American soldiers, injured 171, and they paid $6 million in compensation. This is how worth the American lives it is to them. Can we call this a friend?
Yes.
Well, who needs friends like that? With enemies like Israel. Now, some people don't like me criticizing Israel and blaming Israel for all the fuckery it does, but should we be more like Israel and blame everyone else? See, the problem in life is when you don't have accountability for your actions. Israel is the masters of PR spin and deflection. They accuse everyone else of being terrorists, everyone else doing what they're actually doing. See, some individuals do this as well. It's called gaslighting and deflecting instead of dealing with their own issues, dealing with what they're doing wrong and changing their behavior. They deflect and go, no, your behavior has to change. How dare you criticize Israel for bombing children to death? It's not our problem. It's clearly yours. Actually, it should be made against the law. If you criticize Israel ever again, we're going to call you not only anti-Semitic, but we're going to jail you. Because you're what has to change, not us. Bombing children is perfectly okay. Genociding and lying about is perfectly okay. We don't need to change, but you do. And they think the world will be just perfect if we just shut our mouths and don't speak up. Well, if you're ruled by the fear of death, they can control you. If you have no fear of death, you'll become a liberated, free soul that will stand for good morals and principle. Very few people have that. You don't want to be a Ben Shapiro where a few shekels here and there can buy your soul.
The former prime minister of Israel has now tweeted against Tucker Carlson. He writes, as a former Israeli prime minister, with the Mossad having reported directly to me, I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Epstein's conduct, both the criminal and the merely despicable, had nothing whatsoever to do with the Mossad or the state of Israel. Epstein never worked for the Mossad. The accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending that they know things that they don't. They just make things up and they say it with confidence, and these lies stick because it's Israel. There's a vicious wave of slander and lies against my country and my people, and we just won't take it anymore. Oh, first off, what do you mean you just won't take it anymore? That's a laced threat coming from Israel, because when you guys want things to happen, you make them you get very lucky, you know? You want war with Afghanistan, the Middle East, and the towers go down, you know? You want AIPAC not to register as a foreign for FARA, and suddenly a president gets shot in a moving vehicle in Dallas. I don't like your luck, is what I'll say about you, Israel. So when you say we're not going to take it anymore, and you're a prime minister going after a journalist in America, it's not landing the way you think it's landing. One of the things that you realize is that in order to support Israel, you have to be really comfortable lying all the time, like all the time. And Naftali Bennett, in case that name does not sound familiar to you, well, before he became prime minister, he was caught, or willfully speaking, he wasn't exactly caught, discussing how he was putting together a cell of people. I'm not kidding. This guy that you just saw tweeting that at Tucker, putting together a cell of people in Israel to edit Wikipedia so that they could control the information that people were reading on Wikipedia to make sure that it had a slight bend towards supporting Israel's, as a state, the Zionist cause. This is Naftali.
Instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
They want the nature of Wikipedia to be Zionist. Yeah, so they were just training us up right at the beginning of this. They understood and have always understood that it's an information war.
Fascinating, isn't it? Israel's been exposed left, right, and center. Threats by Israel and Jewish, even in Australia. This is interesting. I posted this August 2025, months before the Bondi massacre, which many believe was done by an intelligence agency, and the prime suspect, if it was an intelligence agency terrorist attack, would be, you know, which state we don't need to mention. This is what was posted. We are not asking you to understand us. We are not asking you to love us. We are simply warning you, do not mess with us, the Jewish people. The Australian Jewish Association apparently posted this. My response at the time was this. This is now August 2025. I forgot I'd posted this, but I said, is Israel planning a false flag attack in Australia again? To regain control, the narrative is spinning out of control for them as so many are waking up to the enemy of humanity. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since the Bali bombings and Port Arthur massacre, both Mossad Israel operations instill fear into Australians and remove their guns. The last false flag was a fake terror caravan plot to push through the anti-Semitism, censorship, removal of free speech laws. Australia will let these fake Jewish imposters who think they own the world in Australia treat you for idiots, or is it time to tell Israel to go F itself? Any Zionist to F off out of Australia. You're not welcome here. Is this not a clear threat by the Jewish Association to all Australians, inciting violence, hate speech? Of course not, because it's by Israel. But that was August 2025. After predicting, is Israel playing a false flag in Australia to regain control of the narrative? And what happened a few months later in December, early December 2025? Well, I don't need to tell you. But we sure as hell know this guy was one of the actors. Shot in the head, apparently, out of Bondi massacre. This guy is 1 in 10 billion. This guy's a total miracle. He survived October 7th, arrived 2 weeks before to fight anti-Semitism, and somehow managed to survive Bondi massacre. 1 in 10 billion chance of doing both of those things, according to Grok. But surprised he's shot in the head. If you're shot in the head, probably don't have time to take selfies and then have blood smeared all over your face. I mean, must be a pretty bad shot to have that much blood on your face. Unless, of course, it's complete and utter staged. I'm not saying that people weren't shot, but he certainly wasn't, as was evidence in the hospital only a few days later with no scar to his head. Amazing how you get shot by a high-powered assault weapon and not have a problem. But we'll let people investigate that themselves. And of course, they're ramping up their targets against Iran. And that's why part of Venezuela was one of the chess pieces they wanted to put in place, is to remove that beforehand. Let's go to a quick ad break. We'll be back with some more after this.
What does $78,000 get you in Bali? Introducing Resort K and Vios by LUX. Studios from $79,000 AUD. Hotel-style amenities. Live, work, unwind. Unique design villas, live in or rent out. Prime Seminyak location. Steps to dining, buffets and beach clubs. Projected net annual returns, 12 to 18% PA. Thinking of moving to Bali?
The McIntyre Report.
And welcome back, folks. McIntyre Report for our 24-hour news headlines, ANR.news, independent media, where we can assess things without bias of right faction, political bias, or left faction. We don't really care about dividing you into left and right. Independent media, we care for one thing, that's the truth, even when the truth is ugly. And the truth is Israel is behind the Venezuelan invasion by the Trump administration because Trump is a Zionist and controlled by the right faction, Netanyahu. Netanyahu flew out of America the same day after meeting with Trump of them starting their bombing raid in Venezuela. Why do they want Venezuela? Why Israel runs America and runs the West, including Australia? You haven't figured that out. Israel is why you have massive record immigration, excess Muslims in your Western nations, because they're the one nation bombing excess Muslim nations in the Middle East, and then they send them into your country to divide and conquer you, to create civil tensions, and soon they'll unleash more terror on your streets. That's right, they already have, as we accurately predicted they would do, as false flag attack. And then you had Bondi after the falsified fake caravan terror plot. But if you study history, this wouldn't be repeating itself if people had bothered to see who was actually behind Port Arthur massacre, Bali bombings, October 7th, September 11th. They would have known by now who the enemy of humanity is. They wouldn't be like, oh, we don't know who. Oh, no, it's not them. It's not them. You know, everyone wants to be a geopolitical expert when a major event happens. But when there's nothing else happening in between, what are they doing? Reading CNN or reading the Murdoch press or left-wing Fairfax in Australia, or actually doing some research. So if you want to be a geopolitical expert, maybe do some research and become one. Then people might take more notice of what you have to say, because the truth is not very popular.
Your cancer, you better be ready for some skeptics. But Joe Tippin says it did save his life and others. And now even cancer researchers are open to the possibility it might be true.
My neck, my liver, my pancreas, my bladder, in my bones, it was everywhere.
2 years ago, Joe Tippin says he was told to go home, call hospice, and say his goodbyes. The doctors were unanimous. He was going to die of small cell lung cancer.
Once that kind of cancer goes that far afield, the odds of survival are less than 1%, and the median life expectancy is 3 months.
Tippin says he went from 220 pounds to 110, but that was January of 2017. Today, Tippins is very much alive, and what he credits for his survival has doctors scratching their heads and the rest of us raising eyebrows.
About half the people think I'm just crazy, and half the people want to know more and dig deeper.
Tippin says he got a tip, not from a pharmacist, but a veterinarian. And in his desperation, he turned from people medicine to dog medicine, specifically fembendazole, or what you give a dog when it has worms.
Truth is stranger than fiction, you know.
Just 3 months later, Tippin says his cancer was gone.
I'm usually skeptical, and I was, and maybe still am, about this one. But there's an interesting background to this.
Cancer researchers like Stephen Prescott are skeptical, but they also are not dismissing this anti-parasitic's potential. He says Tippins is not the first person to potentially benefit, and maybe not the last.
Scientists at many credible places have done work on this for years.
But was it the dog dewormer, or was it something else? Tippins took the dog medicine with daily vitamin E supplements and CBD oil. He was also taking an experimental cancer-fighting drug. But Tippin says out of the 1,100 patients on that clinical trial, he was the only one cleared of cancer. Tippin says he was saved by the dog dewormer, and he plans to take it for the rest of his life.
Oh, my insurance company spent $1.2 million on me with traditional means before I switched to a $5 a week medicine that actually saved me.
Well, I think he answered the question as to why people don't know the truth about cancer, because it's a $5 a week medicine. Now, how could it be possible for fembendazole, ivermectin as well, parasite killers used in animals? Well, I grew up on a farm. We kill the parasites in our farm animals by giving them such products because we also have parasites. Parasites, I believe, are the cause of cancer. And why did Western diets have high amounts of sugar? The parasites inside you love sugar. Cancer thrives off sugar. So if you eliminate sugar from your diet, you tend to eliminate cancers in most cases. Western diets, high cancer causing. But you eliminate the parasites also by using those sort of products. So it's quite plausible that these things were, it's not an isolated case. There's many cases of this. So it's good to be educated and know that, because chemo and radiation is very expensive. And, you know, its strategy is like, well, let's just kill everything. That'll kill the cancer. But, you know, if you kill the patient at the same time as killing the cancer, is that successful? You want a product that will eliminate the cancer without eliminating the patient. Would you agree? And prevention is better than cure. So there is a lot of theories based around now appear to be getting proven that cancer is caused by parasites. That's why it thrives off sugar, and Western diets, unfortunately, are loaded with sugar.
How do I get rid of the spike protein that is now in my body? I know that many people were blackmailed into taking the shot. But there are 3 things that will inhibit the spike protein producing the nanoparticles. One is zinc, the other is dandelion, and the dandelion can be the flower, the leaf, the root, or dandelion tea or coffee. And you don't have to take all of these, just one of them's enough, and white pine needle tea. But also, Dr. Peter McCulloch has a protocol, and I think that's fairly easy to access. So if someone has had the shot, they should be having one of these every day to inhibit the spike protein causing the nanoparticles. Nano is barely measurable. The problem with the nanoparticles is they're so small, but once you get 50 together, you start to get little clots.
Wow, very interesting. A lot of people be affected by these COVID vaccines they've taken. So share that with friends that need to know one way to stop the spike proteins. And I use many of those products myself, along with NAC tablets or NAC powder, quercetin, etc. We make available to our readers. It's on our website, actually, anr.news. If you search vaccine detoxes, you'll find plenty of information there to get yourself educated, decide what's best for you. Let's
Created
continue.
ISIS. I mean, ISIS is no less than the people up in Islamberg, no less than Gulen, is a CIA creation. John McCain, for heaven's sake, was over there with the ISIS officials. We created them. They came from the Al-Nusra group, the Syrian Liberation Front. These 2 organizations combined, and they morphed into ISIS. It's our creation. We create them. We still direct them. When ISIS warriors are injured in battle, where are they transported? They're transported, for heaven's sake, to Israel. They're treated by the Israelis in Israeli hospitals and brought back to battle.
Well, once again, as reported here many times in the past, Israel created ISIS. Al-Qaeda, they created as well. Hamas, and he funded up to 2012 and begged Qatar to fund him ever since. But which Israeli Prime Minister, Netanyahu that would be, if you're not sure, was caught exposed funneling $35 million in cash and received pocket over $1.4 billion US notes in cash. Why? And he also said 2019, don't take my word for it, listen to Netanyahu. We must continue to fund Hamas if we want to achieve Israel's political objectives, which are the Greater Israel Project, which he also showed you what that is, and wiping out pretty much every Muslim country around it. So we can't deny that. These things, people, just because people don't know. It's funny, the most ignorant people that don't know geopolitics in the world are often the most arrogant. No, that's not true. I don't believe that. Well, sorry to disappoint some of your dumbed down Western friends, but the world doesn't care what they think or what they believe, because most people don't. The world is what it is. Whether you agree with it or whether you believe it to be true, who cares what you believe? It's not, I don't care what I believe. It's irrelevant. All you should care about is what is. What is the truth? And then what you choose to do about that truth. Ignore it, deny it, delude yourself. Don't pretend it doesn't happen. Accept it and be empowered by what we can do to change it, even though individually it may feel like we're limited in what we can do. But ultimately, that's our choice.
The last president we had that would have been somebody that I could have registered and voted for was John F. Kennedy. Anybody who knows anything about serious history and research knows who the fuck killed John F. Kennedy.
Israel, yeah.
The precursor to AIPAC was the American Zionist Council, and he was absolutely committed to having that registered as a foreign agent. The other thing that he was going to do, have Dimona, which is the nuclear power plant where a Jewish spy stole the nuclear technology and took it back to Israel. He was going to insist on having that inspected, which would have stopped their nuclear weapons program. However, this is the most dangerous thing, and I definitely want to give this to you. This is a $5 note. This is 1963. John F. Kennedy was president at that time. At the top, where a normal bill will say Federal Reserve note, what does it say? United States note. That's backed by silver. That's not a Federal Reserve note. And he issued that.
It looks so different.
And he was dead within 5 months.
As I said earlier, yes, he was. It's true. He was dead within 5 months of booting out the fake Jewish imposters who founded the fake state of Israel. And she took control of the fake Federal Reserve, which is not federal, it's not government owned, but privately owned by banker wankers, including the J.P. Morgan conglomerate. In 1913, I wrote about it in my first book, what I didn't learn at school, but wish I had, back in 2000, which became a bestseller then. It's about to be relaunched, republished, and updated for the 21st century. It's a quarter of a century ago since I wrote that. It's hard to believe, which just was once a wild conspiracy theory. And I set out as one of my long-term goals is to help assist the world in creating a new and better financial system. That's why I was an early adopter of Bitcoin and told people in 2013 to start buying it when it was $75 US. Those who listened, so those who listened to independent media, would have become very wealthy. Those who also listened to us and told people not to touch COVID vaccines would also be much healthier. If you listen to fake news, they'll tell you never to touch Bitcoin in the early days, and only go and see a licensed financial planner who's going to scam you of your commissions and put you into commission-driven investment products that the banks own, and they own your regulators. But they're going to push vaccines on you and fake cures for cancer, such as chemo, etc. And you're going to be worse off, health-wise and financially. So where you get your information from is critical. You should question everything. But the strange thing is, the average dumbed-down Westerner only questions any alternative theory to the mainstream theory. And the mainstream theory is always fake. So they believe in the fake and not going to let go of the fake narrative. They're going to question everything else. They're going to be skeptical of everything else. We're going to cling to a false narrative. Because fake people like fake news. It gives them some comfort. Because they're trying to impress their fake friends. Where to know the truth, you have to go, I don't give a fuck what my friends think, what other people think. They might call you a conspiracy theorist. If you can't handle being called names, what does it say about you? What does it say about your friends?
If you think we lost the war in Afghanistan, you just didn't know what we were fighting for. They were sent out there to guard poppy fields, okay? Poppy fields. What comes from the poppy flower? Do you guys know? Okay. Do you know what happened after we lost in Afghanistan? The opioid crisis was hitting America during that. While we were guarding those poppy fields from which, you guessed it, that's we need them to build opioids. The opioid crisis hit America hard via the Sackler family. And what did the Sackler family contribute to Tel Aviv? Yeah, their school of medicine. Yeah. So we are just so blessed. Again, we were so blessed that we got to guard those poppy fields. For who? Nobody knows, but we do know that we did get an opioid crisis on the heels of it.
A lot of people don't know that. We accuse the Taliban of everything, but yeah, poppy production dropped over 70% once they booted out America. Israel, really. America is a colony and proxy army of Israel. Drugs, big trade of Israel, illicit drugs. The deflection of they're going to trump up charges against Venezuela and President Maduro on drug trafficking. I mean, what a joke. Venezuela is one of the nations in South America that does the least drug trafficking. Most of drug trafficking is done by the CIA, American. They're going to trump up charges of possession of machine guns. He's a president. He has his own military than the country does. So, I mean, this is just absurd. Why don't you say we're stealing their oil? We're motherfuckers. And Netanyahu's my boss. Tell us the truth. Those who still think Trump is America first, make America great again, I'm afraid to tell you, you just have to accept the disappointment and reality at some point. That's all we have for this show. Welcome back, 2026. We'll be back next week with some more. Until then, take care.